How's it going, everybody? It is Shades, ya boy, the giver, Mr. Broadway. We're going to be playing some autos, and we are playing in fourth position, which most people hate, but we love. It opens the door for creative outlets and creative opportunities. uh, but yeah, let's get right into it and have some fun. So we see an 8-5-10 placement go from Lyman here, playing as bronze. Very strong. Generally, you don't use the ore port too much, but it works because your strongest ore is the only relevant ore on the board. So this is clearly the first pick in any given situation. And I do believe that it's the correct point as well, because pointing in toward the 5-2, you could have someone contest it by someone that takes the 10-9-2, wanting to utilize the brick port and getting on a strong wood hex. One thing that immediately jumps to mind is that because this is the only relevant ore, we are looking at some pretty rare wheat as well. The sheep and the wood are pretty common, although the wood and the brick here on the nines are coordinated. So these are just things that immediately pop to mind when we see the board place out. So everybody took picks that I would consider traditional. What immediately jumps to mind on this board for me is I do have the ability to play off the sheep port, which is something that I think would be nice. There is an associated risk with red placing on it outright. Uh, I also do need to consider, however, what I'm leaving open for my opponents on the way back. Another setup that I actually particularly like, which some people might find a little off, is going with something like 10-9-5 and 10-11-3 and expanding to the 8-3. The reasoning behind this is I already get my 3-1 port. I double up on the rare wheat. I utilize the best war hex in the game. But alternatively, I think the main thing you would want to utilize here would be something along the lines of 10-9-5 and 8-3-4, pointing toward the 8-10 expansion. But again, I'm just trying to consider the possibility of red placing on that outright and how that might impact my game. Seeing as how they need both sheep and brick in this setup, I'm actually going to go ahead and go with the second idea. Even though I find that it may be less consistent on average, I think you always take 10-9-5. But what you pair it with, I think you could even make an argument for going here on the 8-4-10 and playing off side by side, because even if you lose this 8-3 to an outright placement, it's not that big of a deal. But considering what the players on this board need, for these two specifically, I think this is going to be the more safer option. It doesn't really lock the board per se, but I think it gives me a lot of flexibility. So we are going to be placing on no red numbers initially, which is in most cases a bit of a red flag. But again, I find that the 3-1 here is going to be incredibly safe, and that the 8-3 is going to be a nice open expansion spot. Although I find that I would say in a tournament game, I would probably place, well, in a high level tournament game, I would probably go for the sheet port and play the side by side strategy. And I'd probably opt to take 8-4-10 and point up, because there's less associated risk with someone placing outright on the 8-3 than there is with somebody placing on the 8-10 sheet port outright. So I kind of leave that open for interpretation, because what I see realistically happening here, yep, is that this gets taken by black, which does leave a really strong spot for red here with 8-4-10 or 8-3-4 pointing down, but that does kind of congest bronze's options slightly. Because ideally what happens here is that bronze will take 6-5-12, and with that, that kind of locks up red and black's ideal expansion toward that center. I don't realistic. Ooh, okay. I mean, I can respect this as well, but I think that leaving this open for, I guess we can just call them brown in this game. Leaving this open for brown is very scary and kind of a, yeah, they just outright place it. I find that to be a mistake personally, leaving a 3 hex open like this for brown. But we'll see how that places. I mean, I had the opportunity to place on it and I didn't. So, we're going to have to try to play around that and do the best we can to mitigate. But that's always a risk that you have to consider, and something that always has to be kept in mind is when you are making decisions in a game, you can make your own decisions, but you can never rely on someone else to make the correct decisions on their side. So I don't want to solo block because I know how heated people can get for that, even though I do think that Brown is in a leading position. I'm just going to make like a mutual per se block there. I guess I would even argue that I would be making a subpar block just because I rolled the first 7 and I don't want to instigate anything early. Ideally, I would like to get traded onto this 8-3 as soon as possible. And then when that happens, we expand to the 9, like I said, and we kind of just have to play a fluid game from there. I would say the biggest weakness to what we took versus what we talked about with the sheep port is that we kind of do expand a little bit quicker in the early game, but our game, oh, see, I wish we rolled that earlier. Our game toward the end tends to slow down because we don't really have any expansion spots outside of these. Like, for example, with this 3-4, I have to give up the 3-4 expansion in order to get on the 8-3. So, kind of like a give and take, but I don't necessarily think, yeah, I'm not giving up a wood for any card here. I don't necessarily think that we need too many expansion spots. See, like this race that's going on here is really good for us. Of course we roll a 7. Of course we roll a 7 on our turn. Oh, that's rough. I mean, we're probably going to get a brick, but yeah, I really didn't like that. I don't know. Honestly, I'm just going to throw it here. Take back what I said earlier. Rolling the 7 there really hurts because our production is low. Like, we've been rolling luckily into our numbers, but our production is very low. So if you want that spot, you're going to have to give me that 3-card offer that you were offering earlier. And this is where we exploit value. Do I just take the 2-1? Ah, if you want the settlement, it's got to be 3 cards. Well, unfortunately, Bronze, I 7'd out and lost 4 cards to the robber, so I will gratefully take what is almost a road settlement for 1 card. And that's just kind of how you get value. Whereas I agree that black is in a weaker position, especially after losing that. In a traditional sense, red overproduces on wood and brick, and they don't really have as much of a chance at road. But I agree that black has been kind of shattered a little bit there. And the tough part is I do consistently want to hit bronze here, but the expansion, like the options for me are just not really great. So I think I just have to make that decision to hit them again on the 9. But it does give us 2 really early road settles. So again, I find that this setup that we took, it gets us a really early lead, but closing out the end game is going to be a little bit harder because the remainder of, well, any points that we get from here on out from things like settlements or cities or, things along those lines, they're all going to be based off of point settlements, right? And what I mean by this is settlements that we get from building on the desert in a more likely scenario. But we probably have to play or wheat sheep That trade that I did there with bronze, I was not card tracking, and if I was paying more attention, I would recognize that as a terrible deal. It seems like black is just really mad at red now, um, even though bronze is winning, so I'm going to have to make the correct choice and hit them here because we have an emotional player on the board. I think I'm just going to pass with that. Yeah, I think with the two VPs, obviously pulling two VPs is not great. I would rather have almost any other dev card in this position, but I think we have a chance to possibly double play. Oh, bronze just accepts. I would like to do a road settle on the ore port, if anything, just to lock bronze out of a spot. But it also sets me up for road and possibly 9 points, where we just need like a city to close it. But yeah, I think this game is going to be between me and bronze here. I don't see red or black being able to catch up. And I do understand that we've had favorable rolls. And whereas the block on the 9 might seem weird because it helps us with trading, it just kind of cuts the production to such a degree on this board that can't really be understated. So I'm just going to keep throwing out these trades. Okay. Well, if you want to give me the trade for that, then I absolutely think I take it. So kind of what we're poised, excuse me, to do here is build a road, go to 9 points, and then we just need a city. Yeah, they're going to trash talk them, but really what we're waiting for is a couple of 8s to get our city down. And I think, whereas I didn't expect to win with road, we don't necessarily need it either. Because by the time a player gets army, I think we close out this game. There's not enough time for someone to purchase 3 devs, and if there is, it would probably be me or bronze. But shows the power of a versatile setup. If you get a couple of early game 10s and 9s, then I think you kind of dominate with the 3-1 and the best ore expansion. I mean, they can point trade, but pulling 2-2 VPs, again, a lot of people would say that's great. I just say, okay, it's kind of a way that allows us to win the game cheaply, per se. But we'll see a knight here, more than likely, by bronze. And then it probably goes on the 9 wood. Yep. Which is fine, because again, we're just waiting for a couple of 8s and then a road. And he really needs to get development cards here to keep me soloed. The table should be, I mean, so it's kind of hard because the table can't really be feeding bronze because they're so far behind. But shit, I'll do the trade. Red wants to take it, I'll take it. I don't need wood anymore. I'll take both. I'm gonna do 2-2, or yeah. So it was a city for him, but I think black took it because they didn't want me to get it. Yeah, and I don't have a knight. So this is where I don't like VPs, because if the table plays this correctly, where bronze and black both purchase dev cards, they can keep me pinned after recognizing the simple question of why is the robber not moving, and the secondary question of why am I not playing a development card. And the simple answer that you guys can always provide in this example is, well, he doesn't have one. He doesn't have one he can use, excuse me. It's a victory point. So the reason why I hit black here is because black is not, or excuse me, the reason I hit bronze here, there we go, we roll into 2 ore, is because black is less likely to move the robber. I mean, they might move it to 8 anyway. Yeah, see, they're going to ask this. And it's 100% correct, but black might not do it because they're not currently being robbed. So I recognize that bronze is the most experienced player on the table, but black might not feel the need to play an aggressive knight when I feel like they absolutely should. because if they don't, this game is going to close out very quickly. There you go. Exactly. And this is why you block bronze there. 100% of the time. So he says it doesn't help him. Now I'm actually thinking I'm going to city this spot, and the reason being is I only need a couple of roads to close out the game. I'm one road from 10, actually, brother. You could even make an argument to city this, but I don't. So I city this sheerly because 9 plus 10 is 2 roads. Although I don't think you traditionally, I think you traditionally city 9, 5, 10, but because the table is starting to coordinate solo blocks on the 9, I find that the 9 is just less valuable in that sense, because now that I'm a clear prime leader, the robber will always go here, thus making it kind of essentially a 50-50 on and off tile, if that makes sense. Especially since we're no longer going to be buying development cards unless we're completely stuck. I find that to be kind of a losing play. They might temporarily extend road here. But we're flexible, right? We don't have to go one way or another. We just need 2 points. It could even be built points. We could go road settle here on the desert and just build the city for the other one. Could play it pure BTT, right? Like, well, not pure, but you get my point. You can play it without a win condition in this scenario. Of course, the 8 also being hit when the 9 is not is kind of a big deal. But again, that's why I like the flexibility of having the wheat. And the double wood brick does not hurt at all. Yeah, they're trading red a lot here. And I feel like they eventually need to recognize that red can get road back and has flexible options themselves. I think we just pass on 6. I mean, there's a good chance we 7, but I don't think we're catching any trades here. Yeah, and I think the robber just goes to the 9 anyway. Like, I guess our city on here, just to explain it a little more, it's not about so much the production, which we're already, wow, I did not expect a block on the 5. Okay. I'll take a block on the 5. If you were to ask me anywhere on my hexes that I would choose as a decision that I would want the robber on, I would say that I want it on the 5. So that makes me happy. And we just roll into a Nat City. So yeah, we don't even need a condition anymore. We just build road settlement on the desert. We don't even need to struggle for road. If we roll into road, sure, but we don't have to anymore. Yeah, I'm not concerned. Like, this game just went too quick for Army, which is kind of unusual, but in that sense, like, you don't even really have to worry about anything. Like, even if red gets road here, they're going to be on, what, 8 points? Yeah, and then the 9 gets soloed. I think the main thing to be concerned about is if bronze manages to get army and road. So hopefully black plays another knight because they have double settles open. But then again, their production is not really that high, but I'm not 100% certain because I would need to build 3 roads. I don't, yeah. I mean, red needs this spot, right? He has Woodport. No, not really, man. Yeah, he gave me a 3-1, but in fairness, I lost 4 from the 7. He needs the tree. Well, he didn't connect is the problem, but yeah, I see his point. black will get road next turn, which essentially means that bronze will lose 2 points, which enforces our fact that we only need a road settlement here, or actually a city is not unlikely either. They have to invest in either holding the road or getting, yeah, we already have win in hand if no 7 or mono. See, recognizing the strongest player on the table and just kind of punishing them accordingly is just kind of funny. I mean, in fairness, they're probably playing on their main account because they have the colonist subscription. So they've been playing for many years. I don't know if this is a person I'm familiar with in the Discord scene, but you can tell they've been around the block. And without a 7, we just use the 3-1 and build another city. Or that. That's fun. Hey, we can buy a dilly, right? Let's pull for the win. Ah, okay. Ba-ba-ba-bum. GG. Hope you guys enjoyed that quick, short one. I know I did. In fairness, the 6 severely underperformed, and the 9 definitely did overperform quite a bit. With 6s rolling like that, though, it's kind of hard to justify. Like, I think red has a really good chance if 6s roll better. Because look at their setup. Like, they got 2 cities down with 2 6s being rolled, right? But that's just the way the game goes sometimes. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that one, and I'll check you in the next one. Take care.